Recently, Aune released their first ever headphone, a flagship headphone, you might say, and it is designated as AR5000, priced at 299 US dollar, as you can see here, also available in Amazon. What you're gonna find inside the box, the headphone itself, obviously, okay, and it comes together with this detachable cable module here, which is terminated in 3.5 mm single-ended, and also comes with this 6.3 mm detachable adapter to connect to bigger DAC amp. And the detachable module of this AR5000 is pretty much identical to Hi-Fi-Man's Sundara or Hi-Fi-Man standard. You can easily attach it like this and detach it with these 3.5 mm plugs that you can see on each side. On top of that, since I also need 4.4 mm balance, okay, I have also ordered this 4.4 mm balance Aune cable here, which is copper, premium looking, priced at 49 US dollar, okay, and they do offer different sort of sound presentation, which I would touch a bit more later when we talk about sound. Now let's talk about the physical aspect of this AR5000 first, okay. Let's talk about the build quality and the comfort itself. This AR5000 is a magnificent piece of headphone, I would say. For something which is priced at 299 US dollar, I personally believe that this thing exceeded my expectation. Okay, because if you were to compare with another 299 US dollar headphone like this Hi-Fi-Man Sundara here, which is quite popular, okay, you can clearly see that between the two of them, this AR5000 is definitely more appealing, more lovely looking, okay, build wise, construction wise, and also comfort wise. So let's talk a bit more on that comfort element. Before I proceed any further, let me just describe to you. You would probably notice that how big my head is. So for example, in order for me to wear this Hi-Fi-Man Sundara properly, when I first receive it, I literally have to stretch the steel headband here like this, okay, for quite a bit, like that, until it comes to a point that I was able to wear it like this, okay, without any kind of discomfort, or should I say painful clamp over my head, with this pad here supporting my head and this angle ear pad here supporting my ear, okay. And the same can be said for this Sennheiser HD600, which happened to be my favorite as well, okay. I actually have to bend it like this quite a few times, and to make things even more interesting, whenever I'm not using it, I always place it like this over a box, literally like that, for a few days to stretch it out, so that I would be able to wear it comfortably like this, okay, for hours on end. Like I'm talking about 4, 5, 6, or 7 hours, especially when gaming, okay. And also let me just show you two more examples. Some of you might recognize this. This is Sony MDR7506. Just look at the headband there. How much I have stretched it in order to make it comfortable for me to wear. And also how I have changed the ear pad in order to make it a lot more comfortable to my ear, okay? And so that I can wear it like this, okay? So now it is comfortable. And also, last but not least, my long time Fostech T40 RP Mark III here, okay, which you would notice uses a much thicker velour pad, also with stretch headband. My point is that, you know, what I'm trying to demonstrate is that this AR5000 out of the box, I don't have to do all that, okay? That's how good it is. First, let's just have a look at the ear pad here. It is much more angle than this Hi-Fi-Man Sundara here, okay? Which means that the way it cuts, you know, when placed into your ear, it is angled in such a way that it provides that kind of comfort. No, there's no uneven pressure to the ear itself, okay? That's first. And then the construction is very well thought of. This breathable foam here with this, I think something look like a breathable velour as well, okay? And then when worn like this, immediately I told myself, wow, this is super comfortable. And after using it for quite a while, for many days since I received it, I would not hesitate to say that this is the most comfortable headphone I have ever worn. I don't have to stretch it like what I have shown to you earlier, because the steel headband here is a lot more pliable than this HiFiMan Sundara or any other headphone that I have. And also the construction is lightweight. It is lighter than HiFiMan Sundara and pretty much, I think, similar, in terms of, weight to HD600. So like this, I was able to wear it while listening to music or even playing games for half a day. No sign of fatigue or anything like that. No discomfort at all. Okay, so what you're going to find inside, the construction of this AR5000 itself is a very well thought of implementation of multi-layered distributed dynamic driver, 50mm at 28 ohm. Supposedly very easy to drive. And just have a look, pay attention to the arrangement of the driver itself. Okay, you would notice that, and in fact, this is for the very first time that I have come across, okay, this kind of setup. The driver is angled in such a way, pretty much similar to the way you arrange a speaker in a room, okay, which means that, okay, it offers two things. First, the comfort itself. There's no way for the driver to touch your ear, because your ear, you would notice that is also angled. Despite if you place it closer, very unlikely that it will touch any part of your ear. So that's one. And secondly, which is I think the most important part, it also impart the kind of sonic performance which this AR5000 offer, which I will touch a bit more later. Otherwise, all in all, I would say that for a price of $299, this is definitely premium. The kind of, build quality, comfort, and everything which I would consider as value for money. As noted earlier, at 28 ohm, this is definitely one of the easiest headphone, full-size headphone that you're going to find in the market right now to drive, okay? Literally, I was able to use this with my phone here, which is Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV, which I use regularly, very weak headphone with this 3.5mm single-ended. I was already able to use this AR5000 to a listening level which I consider as satisfying, okay? Not exactly the best, but definitely usable and satisfying. And I actually got the best result when I attach it using this 4.4mm balance connection of this EPZ TP50, my favorite dongle here. And also when I connect to 3.5mm single-ended, I use my Hebe FC6, another of my favorite. And also, again, 3.5mm single-ended, because the default cable was 3.5mm single-ended. I spent quite a lot of time using this Questyle M12i and also this Venture Electronic Odo. Yes, this thing is super versatile. You can practically drive it with anything. And most recently, I spent a lot of time literally taking this thing out for a cup of coffee, as you can see here, with this Moondrop Miat 01. You would probably have heard me mention this so many times if you are familiar with my channel, that I love neutral sound. I love neutral reference. And let me just declare this openly, okay? After for quite a while, I am happy to say that I have found my new neutral reference, AR5000. Yes, this headphone is super neutral. And in order for me to describe how neutral it is, many of you would have probably been, very well accustomed with this HD600. And I will admit, this is still my favorite, okay? And I will explain why. Because this is my neutral and natural reference. Okay, I also have this HiFiMan Sundara here, not quite neutral, and I will explain why. Let's just do a bit of comparison when it comes to that subject between this and this, okay? This HiFiMan Sundara is a magnetic planar, which means that naturally it will have a faster transient response, a bit more aggressive, a bit more brighter as well, okay? Because of the transient speed. It resolves faster than this AR5000, it resolves faster than this HD600. But in the same process, I also sense there's a bit of coloration in the overall dynamic presentation of this Sundara. And the end state of that is that what I'm trying to say is that if I want accuracy, if I want transparency, it is more likely that I will use this HD600 more over this HiFiMan Sundara, because I do feel that this HD600 will present something which is closer to the natural and neutral target, the sort of transparency that I want. especially when I am into analytical and monitoring mode. And the same can be said for this AR5000. There's no coloration, there's no enhancement, there's no alteration of the sound frequency that I can sense of, especially when I listen to something which is highly analytical, especially when I am indulging myself into classical type of music. So if you enjoy classical music like me, listening to Vivaldi especially, or even Beethoven, okay, accuracy to the tonal and dynamic balance is super paramount, okay. Most of the time, I would just use this HD600 or even this Sony MDR7506, which is another monitoring headphone, to enjoy that type of music, because I would want to hear the kind of sound presentation of that philharmonic orchestra or even classical, composition of multi-layered instrument clearly, succinctly, without any kind of, enhancement or coloration to the tone itself, to the attack, to the decay, to the tonal balance of each violin, piano, harpsichord, or anything in between. And I am happy to say that this AR5000 was able to present that in such a way that, it is not only being transparent, but it is also immersive. Okay, being as if I was in the middle of those, people playing all those instruments rather than listening to them. Okay, and so let me just repeat again. There's accuracy, there's transparency, there's neutrality, okay, to the way AR5000 present the sound itself. I love accuracy when listening to certain type of music, okay, but I would admit, okay, in the perspective of that element, accuracy, sometimes certain type of music genre does not need accuracy. So I have been largely talking on certain few type of genre of music, like classical, philharmonic orchestra, or even technical jazz, or even certain type of blues, or even, folk music. But when I listen to something which is, requiring less transparency, requiring less accuracy, which means that, the type of music like rock, metal music, which I happen to listen quite a lot as well, a lot, okay? Then I would just simply say that this AR5000 may not be suitable for certain type of aggressive, loud, engaging music like metal music or even rock music, which exhibit a lot of, high frequency focus, like the treble itself contain a lot of hi-hat and cymbal, because it would appear kind of a bit aggressive when compared against this Sennheiser HD600 or even this Fostex T40 RP Mark III. Okay, these two headphones is a bit more forgiving when it comes to that energetic type of music. So what I'm trying to say here is that, okay, despite being flexible, I was able to use this with largely many type of rock and metal music, but I would even say that it is a bit more comfortable, less fatiguing if I were to use Sennheiser HD600 in this instance. And this Hafaman Sundara is pretty much the same thing. I would not use the two of them too much when it comes to that type of music, okay? Remember that I mentioned to you earlier, the placement of the speaker here, it plays a huge role in how it presents the sound. For example, let me just demonstrate this to you. The way you wear it, okay? Like this. Okay, if you notice that if you age, okay, it takes a bit of practice to wear this AR5000 because of that speaker placement. If you put your headphone slightly to the back like this, then what will happen is that you're gonna have narrower sound stage. Yeah, it will not sound as wide as how it was supposed to be, but putting it closer to the front like this, which means that placing your ear cup slightly, putting some distance to the driver itself, this is where you're gonna get the best sound stage. It is definitely wide and open, and perhaps one of the key factor which I would say that, the advantage of this AR5000 over these two headphones, that this AR5000 definitely offer the widest sound stage of them all, even compare against this close back, Fostex T40 RP Mark III, or even this Sony MDR7506. No doubt about it. A clear winner when it comes to soundstage, but you have to wear it properly, okay? And then the next thing, when it comes to, let's say, spatial imaging, I was so surprised when I used this for gaming, okay? Despite being a single dynamic driver, usually you would not expect, that much of, accuracy when it comes to spatial imaging and positioning and layering especially when I use Hafaman Sundara or even HD 600. But this one is a different story. Okay, it is definitely suitable for binaural type of music or even for gaming. I have already used it to play Fallout. I have used it to play, Starfield, and I am just simply surprised how good it is with spatial imaging for gaming. All in all, everything taken into consideration after using this AR5000 regularly on daily basis, for the fact that first, super comfortable, the most comfortable headphone in my collection right now, and also the easiest to drive among all of them, and for the fact that the sound tuning hits close to my preference, which is being neutral, uncolored, highly resolving, engaging, immersive, all that. It is without a doubt that priced at 299 US dollar, this is a no-brainer recommendation from me.